恭敬大德圣听，为施法为记一切众生，经传妙法论，教导我们如何了生脱死离苦得乐。速见无上。Will the Sangha with great virtue, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to leave suffering and attain bliss and end birth and death and quickly realize non-birth.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Namo sadanto sucheto ye alahati san miao san puto che. 无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered, even in the billion eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Venerable Master, all good knowing advisors, welcome back to class 83 as we explore the Dharma using the Medicine Master Buddha Sutra. Okay, let's recite Medicine Master Buddha's name 7 times. Namo, quelling disaster, slanting life, Medicine Master Buddha. 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 Medicine Master does come one, Medicine Master does come one, Medicine Master does come one, Medicine Master does come one. Okay, while I'm getting today's slides ready, let me ask, does anyone have any questions?
Sure. Can I ask
Yes,
a
Ron.
question? I don't know if you can
Yes,
answer it,
please.
but I know you like questions. So, since we're on the verge of, on the eve of Guan Yin session, I thought I'd ask a question about Guan Yin Bodhisattva. So, Guan Yin Bodhisattva was before he became a Bodhisattva, he was the Buddha light of proper Dharma, right? So when he gave up, when he no longer took that role anymore, what happened to that Buddha? I mean, did he just retire? I mean, I say with all respect, I don't, So that I wanted to know, like, is there still a light of proper Dharma Buddha? You know, the original Buddha that became Guan Yin Bodhisattva?
Uh, okay. How about Ron? We keep the question towards the end.
Yeah, that's fine.
How about that? Okay.
Okay.
But I have come across uh, uh, a sutra that speaks about where the Buddha speaks about the different lifespans of
Yeah,
the various Buddhas. And it is very interesting because it is very similar to how we look at lifespans, say like for humans, compared to the lifespans of the gods. So different Buddhas have different varying lifespans. I'm not sure what that means when they say lifespan. I guess whether the Buddha disappears or not, I'm not sure if that has been what happens at that point. But Buddhas do have different lifespans. Even the time that they spend on Earth on Jambudvipa after they become a Buddha varies from Buddhas to Buddhas. Yeah.
right.
So yeah, if I can find that sutra that speaks about the different lifespans, I'll make sure I'll share it with you, or at least
Okay.
reference it so you can get to it. How about that?
Sure. I'm okay if you want to postpone answering that question for, future class. I mean, that was kind of a um, odd question, so feel free to do whatever you want, so I'm okay. I'm
Okay.
not in a rush for it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Amitofo.
For anyone else with any questions? Okay. Okay, let's carry on then. Okay, today what are we going to do? We are going to look at the king of the Triumphrimsha heaven, the heaven of the 33, who is known as Lord Shakra. And what I have for today, assuming if we have enough time, is we look at how he became Lord Shakra. I have some information about the throne because he's the king. Every king has a throne. So Lord Chakra has a throne as well. And I have some interesting stories about the throne. I also have one of my favorite Jataka stories. What is a Jataka story? A Jataka is a story about a Buddha's past life, or more specifically in our case, Shakyamuni Buddha's past lives. He would always share his past life encounters of his past lives, and that's compiled in a collection of stories called the Jataka Tales. And I have one that explains why there is a rabbit in the moon. I'm not sure if all of you listening in are aware that if you look at the moon, you will see the image of a rabbit. So I have that story too. And I have several sutras that are attributed to Chakra because he asked the Buddha certain questions. I have a story about the most famous, I think one of the most famous stories of all, which is um, how the asuras and the devas in the heaven of the 33 always fight. I have that as well. Yeah. Okay, let's get on with who is Lord Chakra. Okay, so this is from Shufu's commentary in the Earth Store Sutra. Shufu says that Chakra is the Lord of the central heaven, the 33rd. His name Chakra or Indra. Sometimes he actually has various names, some of which we'll come across in a short while. So sometimes in the sutras they call him Indra, Chakra, or both at the same time. He's known as a Dharma protector, but although he's known as like Lord God or God of King of all Devas, his status at a Dharma, say if the Buddha speaks Dharma, his status is such that given the various other heavens and gods and bodhisattvas, Lord Chakra does not even get to sit down. Yeah, that's the how you say the position that he occupies. Shifu says he may be a god, but he's not really different from ordinary people in the sense that he still has sexual desires, he eats, he drinks, and he sleeps as well. So, for any of you who are wondering if gods do sleep or take naps, yes, they do. Shifu says that uh, having said that they have desires, they are a lot lighter than those of humans. That Shifu says for example, we usually become hungry after several days without food. Try skipping a meal and you know how it feels like. We go more than one day without sleep. It becomes really uncomfortable for us. And Shifu says sexual activity for some people is really hard to put down. Chakra, however, or Lord Chakra, can go, Shifu says, for 1, 2, or even 300 days without eating and can pass a year or so without sleep or sex. And Shifu says, although his desires are light, but he still has not eliminated them. Yeah, let me see what else Shifu say. Okay, let's move on. So any of you who want to know more about Lord Shaka can explore Shifu's commentary in the Earth Store Sutra. Okay, so what I have now is a very interesting story about Lord Chakra trying to fool one of the monks, Venerable Mahakashyapa. Uh, so this sutra is from the Dhammapada, and it says on one occasion, Chakra appeared on earth in the guise or disguise of an old weaver to give alms to Venerable Mahakashyapa, one of the Buddha's Arahant disciples. So what Venerable Mahakashyapa did was he went out for alms, but he had this habit of only trying to take alms from people who were poor because he felt that people who were poor needed to generate uh, the need for them to generate blessings or merit was a lot greater than people who were already rich. So Venerable Mahakashyapa, one of his traits or one of his personalities was always selecting people who were poor when he went on his alms round. So that's what he did. And when he saw Chakra, who was in disguise, he easily recognized Chakra and he scolded him. He says, "Why are you trying to deprive uh, people who are actually poor of making merit? Because once you get enough alms food, when monks go on an alms round, it's one of each. Once you get enough alms food, or once you get to you visit 7 houses, that's it. You stop. Yeah. So if you visit the first house, you get enough food, you stop. Or if you visit 7 houses, you get enough food, you stop. So it was telling Chakra, why are you depriving others of the opportunity to make merit? Okay. So what Chakra replied was very interesting because at least for me, knowing him as king of the heaven of the 33, I always imagine him to be the most accomplished, the most radiant, the most how you say, the god with the most blessings. Let's put it this way. That way. If not, how would he have become Chakra, right? So Chakra's reply, he explained. He said that he himself is poor. And Rama Mahakashyapa said, "What? You have power and sovereignty over the devas. How can you be poor? It's like you are the king of the devas. You rule over the heavens of the 33 and the heavens of the 4 kings." Then Lord Chakra said, "Bante, it is like this. The time I came into being was not a Buddha period. I had no opportunity in my past to make merit by giving to a Buddha or to the Arhants. So how he became Lord Chakra, at least for this instance, is that there wasn't a Buddha at that time. Okay, so now some of you at this point may remember a story, I think it came from Shifu as well, about how Lord Chakra became Lord Chakra because she was a lady in a past life who repaired a temple. They found a Buddha image in a temple, in an old rundown temple, a neglected temple that did not have a roof. So this lady asked 33 of her friends, or 32, let me see, 32 of her friends to come together. They combine their resources and they rebuild the temple. And from the merit that was generated by their deed, that's how they were reborn in the heaven of the 33. And that's how that lady became Lord Shakra. Okay. There are lot the name of Shakra is not the name of one single individual, but it's more like a title. So anyone can become Lord Shakra. And even in this world system of Shakyamuni Buddha, there are many, many Lord Chakras. There are, I think, at least 1,000 or 10,000 heavens of the 33 in Shakyamuni Buddha's world system. So because of that, there are sometimes various stories about chakra that may not actually be the same person. Some of the stories are also from the past about Lord Chakras from different time eras where it is not the current Lord Chakra. So we don't have to be too fixed on the details and get lost in the details. The reason we have the stories is to learn what are the Dharma principles that we can bring out of it. Okay, so this is what Lord Chakra explained. And then he says they have arisen in my neighborhood 3 devas, meaning, where he lives in the heaven of 33. There are 3 new devas, and the names are very hard to pronounce. So I'll just pronounce the English names. It says the 3 devas are named Little Chariot, Great Chariot, and many colors. So these 3 new devas. It says these 3 had the opportunity to give to the Buddha and his arahants. They are more splendid and glorious than me. When they come down the street playing at constellation with their attendants, I have to flee and escape into my house. I'm not sure why he has to flee and escape. Maybe I don't know if it's due to embarrassment or the commentaries, they don't really explain. But that's the reason he gave to Venerable Mahakashyapa. And apparently, Constellation is a game that they play in the heaven of the 33. There, I haven't come across any description of what this game is, so I can't describe it to you. But this game has been has been brought up in certain sutras. Yeah. Okay, next, let's look at how he became Lord Chakra. The Buddha told this in a sutra called the Vatapada Sutra. And the Buddha said that Savatthi bhikkhus in the past, when Shakra, Lord of the Devas, was a human being, he adopted and undertook 7 vows, by the undertaking of which he achieved the status of Shakra. What were the 7 vows? Okay, it doesn't, how you say? This could be the very, how you say? Before Lord Chakra became the Buddha, this could be his immediate past life, or it could be one of his past lives. It's not for sure. Okay. So these are the 7 vows that as a human being he made. He said, as long as I live, may I support my parents. As long as I live, may I respect family elders. As long as I live, may I speak gently. As long as I live, may I not speak divisively. That means speech that makes enemies of people against one another. As long as I live, may I dwell with a mind devoid of the stain of stinginess, freely generous, open-handed, delighting in relinquishment, devoted to charity, delighting in giving, donation, and sharing. Then number 6 is, as long as I live, may I speak the truth. Number 7, as long as I live, may I be free from anger. And if anger should arise in me, may I dispel it quickly. So he made these vows. This is how he wants to conduct himself. And then the Buddha gave a verse. The Buddha said, when a person supports his parents and respects the family elders, when his speech is gentle and courteous, and he refrains from divisive words, when he strives to remove meanness, is truthful, and vanquishes anger, the Triumtrimsha Devas call him truly a superior person. Okay. Now let's look at Chakra's throne. Chakra's throne is called the Pandu Kambala rock. and it is made of white marble. It is under the great tree. We've talked about the great tree, I think about 3 classes ago, known as Pariyatraka. It is 60 yojanas long. How long is one yojana? It's roughly about 8 miles or just slightly less than 13 kilometers. So it's a very huge throne. Uh, 60 yojanas long, 50 yojanas wide, and 15 yojanas thick. So it's a huge slab of white marble. But gods are also very huge in size. So you can think of the throne as being appropriate to the physical or the actual size of Shakra himself. And an interesting thing about the throne, which you will find if you have read the Jataka stories, is that it creates heat when certain things happen down on earth. Yeah, it creates heat to kind of like a signal to Lord Chakra. And when it creates heat is when Chakra's lifespan is coming to an end, or when his merit is near exhaustion. So that's probably why he disguised himself to try to give alms to Venerable Mahakashyapa. So even as Lord Chakra, you will still exhaust your blessings or your merit. Number 3, by the force of a righteous act. What force of righteous act? We'll come to that. That's one of the stories that we have for today. And then when a person of great power is seeking to take his place. Okay, what is that when a person of great power is seeking to take his place? Well, we just looked at the 7 vows that Chakra made when he was still a human being, right? So someone may think to himself, they say, being Lord Chakra is really good. You are the God. Everyone worships, all the different religions worship, and you have great power over everyone, and you get to choose a beautiful wife. And that's one of the stories that I have for you also today. So someone may think to themselves, why don't I emulate his actions before he became Chakra so I too can become Lord Chakra? Okay. And if you are, when it says a person of great power, it means that you probably can pull it off. When you say something like that and you put your mind to it, you can, you have the, how would I say, the right stuff to be able to put it into action, generate enough, uh, bring out the virtue in yourself and generate enough merit to actually become the next Lord Chakra. So when a person like that makes that kind of resolve, then Lord Chakra's throne actually gets warm to tell him, hey, this is happening. Yeah, he doesn't know what is going to happen. All he knows is that his throne gets hot, and then he has to investigate and find out. So there's a very interesting story where he tries to sabotage his throne gets hot. He finds out why, and he realizes, oh, this person wants to take over my place, and he actually tries to sabotage that person by disturbing their practice. Yeah, the heavens are very interesting. Okay, what's the last one? A righteous person on earth is in distress and in need of divine aid. So if you follow the precepts really well and you find yourself in trouble and you need help, then his throne gets hot too, which means that he will come and try to help you in any way he can. So there's one interesting story about Shaka's throne, which happened when the Buddha, in his 7th year after Shakyamuni Buddha became the Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha went to the heaven of the 33 to teach what we now know is known as the Abhidharma. So there's a text called the Abhidharma. It's a collection of teachings that the Buddha went to the heaven of 33, specially to teach his former mother, Lady Maya or Queen Maya. And so what happened was, after Queen Maya gave birth to the Buddha, to the prince, she passed away. She was reborn in the Tushita heaven, which is a heaven above, not directly above, but a few steps above this heaven of the 33. Don't worry about how complicated it is. It's okay. All the details don't really matter. It's more what are the principles that we can get out of this. So Shakyamuni Buddha went to the heaven of 33 to repay his mother's kindness, and then his mother, who was born as a male god in the Tushita heaven, came down to the heaven of the tree, sat beside the Buddha to receive the Buddha's teachings. Okay, so when Lord Shakra knew that the Buddha was coming to the heaven to teach the Abhidharma, he had a thought. He said, "Oh, my throne is so big, but the Buddha has a human body. So, if the Buddha sits on my throne, which he knows that the Buddha is going to do, he says that he was thinking that the throne is so big, but the Buddha is so small, and all the other gods will be so far away from the Buddha. How are they going to hear him properly?" Okay. All right. Ron has a question. When Lord Chakra's life ends, how is the next Lord Chakra chosen? Who does the choosing? Ron, I'm not sure. I haven't come across anything that explains that. But related to your question is that Lord Chakra chooses who becomes the four kings of the heaven of the four great kings. Okay, that one Lord Chakra chooses. But who chooses Lord Chakra to become Lord Chakra? Who chooses who to become Lord Chakra? That I do not know. Yeah, but if I do find out, I'll let you know. Okay, so let me see. Where were we in the story? Yeah, so Lord Chakra was afraid that when the Buddha sat on the throne, he would be too small, the throne would be too big, and that the Devas would be too far away from the Buddha to hear the teachings. So the Buddha understood, he knew Lord Chakra's concern. So what he did was he placed his outer robe on the throne. And when he placed his outer robe on the throne, it completely covered the throne. What is that outer robe? If you look at Theravada monks, they have a third outer robe, which sometimes they don't wear depending on the weather, but they drape it on their shoulders. They fold it up. It's long and it's folded very, very nicely and neatly, and they drape it on their shoulders. That would be the outer robe. So what the Buddha did was he placed his outer robe on the throne, and when he put it on the throne, although the throne was so huge, it completely covered the throne. But Lord Chakra still wasn't convinced. So finally, when the Buddha was ready, he sat on the throne. And when the Buddha sat on the throne looked like a little stool compared to the Buddha. So Lord Chakra kind of, it was in the commentary, it said, this amazed Lord Chakra, and then he regretted having doubted the Buddha. Okay, so what story do I have? Okay, this is the story. There is this is the story of the hare, or the hare in the moon. It's Jataka story 316. So, and this story comes to us from the Buddha himself. So the Buddha gave us this story. The Buddha said there was one day, in one of my past lives, he was a hare, or some of us know it as a rabbit. So this hare had three friends: a monkey, a jackal, and an otter. And this was at a time when animals could speak. So the hare, when he looked at the moon, he said, "Oh, tomorrow is going to be a fasting day, Uposatha day. That's the day when people maintain the 8 precepts." So he told his three friends, he says, "Tomorrow is an auspicious day, and it will be good if any of us, if we come across a mendicant, someone who practices, if we can provide alms for the person, it will be a very good it will be a very good deed indeed." Okay, so this actual story is very long, and we don't have enough time to get into it. And also, I've told it in one of our previous classes, but it was a long time ago. So we're going to go through a very short version of this. So the next day, um, the monkey, the jackal, and otter, through their usual looking for food, they all had adequate food to be able to provide alms, except the hare. Because why? A hare only eats grass. And then he thought to himself, he said, "Oh, the only thing I have is grass. And it's not appropriate if a mendicant comes, like a monk, to offer him grass." So he thought to himself, he says, "What can I offer? The only thing I have is my body." So he made a great vow at that time. He said, "I will offer up my body to to any mendicant who needs food tomorrow." So the moment he had this thought, Chakra's throne grew hot. And then he knew, oh, okay, something is up. All right. So he went to investigate, and he found out, oh, it was because this little rabbit, had made this vow. So he decided to test the rabbit. So he came down to earth disguised as a beggar, a Brahmin beggar, meaning, no, I would say he was disguised more as a monk, someone who practices. Okay. And he appeared in front of the rabbit. And then when the rabbit saw him, the hare, I'll just say rabbit for now. The rabbit was very, very happy, and he said, Brahmin, it is good that you have approached me today seeking food. I will give you a gift that has never been given before. And this gift does not involve you breaking the precept against taking life. It says, please gather some wood and make a fire and call for me when the fire is ready. So that's what he told the mendicant. So the mendicant made a fire, but because it was Shakra in disguise, this was a magical fire. It looked like a fire, but when the rabbit came and saw the fire, the rabbit jumped into the fire. But because it was a magical fire, the rabbit instead felt very comfortable. It was cooling, it wasn't hot, and it didn't burn anything at all. And so the rabbit was amazed, and he says, mendicant, what's going on? You know, let me see. Oh, wait, I missed out an important detail. Uh, before the hare jumped into the fire, sorry, I don't like to interrupt stories. So before the hare jumped into the fire, he checked to see if there were any insects in his fur. Because he didn't want to kill any living beings. So he shook his body 3 times to make sure that he was free of insects. Then with a heart full of joy, and this is how the Buddha described it, with a heart full of joy, he leapt into the flames like a royal swan alighting in a lotus pond. But the fire didn't burn him, and instead he felt as if he had landed in snow. Then when that happened, Shakra revealed himself and says, I am no Brahmin, meaning I am no mendicant or monk. I am instead Shakra, and I came to test your resolve. And then Shakra was so impressed with him that he said, your virtue shall be remembered for an entire kalpa. So it is said, Shakra then extended out his hand, he grabbed a mountain, he squeezed the essence from the mountain, kind of like making ink, I guess. Then he said with the essence, he painted the image of the rabbit on the moon so that everyone would know of the rabbit's heroic vow. Yeah, for the rest of the age. Yeah. Okay. For those of you who am not sure what the Buddha meant when he said rabbit in the moon is, I have a picture. Okay, what you see in front of you is the moon. It may look slightly different depending on which part of the world you're at. Sometimes in your part of the world, it might be upside down, or it might look skewed. Yeah, so maybe not exactly this orientation. Okay, so where do you find the rabbit? There you go. See the rabbit? I'm not sure what that little dot is above the rabbit's ears, but there's the rabbit. So every time now when there's a full moon, like on the 1st and the 15th, if you go out and look at the moon, try to see if you can spot spot the rabbit. Excuse me. Okay. Let us go on. Okay. Now this sutra is called the Merit of Metta. Actually, no, that's not the name of the sutra. That's what I gave. The sutra itself, I don't remember the title, but it's in the Anguttara Nikaya collection number 7, sutra number 62. The Buddha says, bhikkhus, do not be afraid of merit. Merit means blessings. Says this is a destination for happiness, that is merit. I recall that for a long time I experienced the desirable, lovely, agreeable result of merit that had been made over a long time. For 7 years, I developed a mind of loving kindness, or metta. So the Buddha was practicing loving kindness for 7 years. He's describing one of his past lives. He says, as a consequence, For 7 eons of world dissolution and evolution, I did not come back to this world. So meaning, when he says 7 eons of world dissolution and evolution, in Buddhist cosmology, the world goes through 3 cycles: the cycle of formation, the cycle of I'm not sure what the names are, and then there's a cycle of formation, and then there's a cycle of in between formation and decay. There's a middle cycle, and then I guess we are in that middle cycle right now. And then there's a age of decay where everything is destroyed, and then everything gets formed again. So the Buddha says for 7 eons of worlds being created and destroyed, he was not born back in this world. So where was he born? He said, okay, let's look. Buddha says, when the world was dissolving, I fed onto the realm of streaming radiance. Streaming radiance is a heaven known as the Abhasara heaven or heaven of streaming radiance, where the lifespan is 8 great kalpas. That's equivalent to, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 zeros. So I guess that's 10 trillion because 7 makes a million. Yeah, I think that's trillion. 10 trillion, 750 billion, and 722 million human years. That's how long the Buddha was reborn in this Abhasara heaven. That's not bad, right? You invest 7 years of your life practicing loving kindness, and the level of interest or returns of your investment from 7 years to 10 trillion, that's a pretty good return. Okay, then the Buddha said when the world was evolving, so after his life in this particular heaven ended, I was reborn in an empty mansion of Brahma. There I was Brahma, the great Brahma, the vanquisher, the unvanquished, the universal seer, the wielder of mastery. We will get to this heaven of the great Brahma in one of our future classes. And then the Buddha says something very interesting. He says, I was Shakra, ruler of the Devas, 36 times. So all this, right, came from just practicing loving kindness for 7 years. Okay, first you get born in the heaven for, God knows how long, 10 trillion years, and that's an unimaginably long time. The Buddha explained, he says, how don't talk about 8 kalpas, okay? Don't talk about 10 trillion years. Just to imagine one kalpa, how long is one kalpa? The Buddha gave this analogy. He says, imagine there's a mountain of iron, okay, solid steel, solid iron, and every 100 years, someone comes to that mountain and very, very gently wipes a very small portion of that iron mountain with the softest handkerchief known to man. Okay, maybe pure silk or cashmere or something, what's very, very soft, some kind of wool. He says the amount of time it takes to wear that mountain down with the softest handkerchief you can think of, that's one kalpa or one great kalpa. Yeah, that's the analogy given, meaning it defies our human mind cannot imagine how long that time frame is. Okay, then you times that by 8, get 8 great kalpas or 10 trillion years. So for 7 years of just practicing loving kindness, okay, you get to be born in this heaven for 10 trillion years. Then you get to be born as the great Lord Brahma, who is known as creator of the universe. Okay, Shakra is known as the king of gods, but Lord Brahma is known by other religions as the creator of the universe, everything in the universe. And not only that, you get born as Shakra 36 times. Okay, that's a very long period. Chakra's lifespan is about 9 billion years. I can't remember, I have to look up again. So the Buddha was born as Lord Shakra 36 times. But not only that, okay, then the Buddha says, many hundreds of times I was a wheel-turning monarch. we've gone through what a wheel-turning monarch is. It says, the Buddha says, a righteous king who ruled by the Dharma, a conqueror whose rule extended to the four boundaries, one who had attained stability in his country, who possessed the seven gems. I had over 1,000 sons who were heroes, vigorous, able to crush the armies of their enemies. I reigned after conquering this earth as far as its ocean boundaries, not by force and weapons, but by the Dharma. So that's a wheel-turning king or wheel-turning monarch. Who gets to be a wheel-turning king? Someone who is very, very exceptional. Someone like the Buddha. For example, when the prince was born, they predicted that they told the king, his father, King Sodana, who was the Buddha's father. He said, your son will be either one of these two great men. One is he can be a wheel-turning king and unite not just this world as we know it, but the four continents, and the seven great oceans. Or he will be a teacher of gods and people. He will become the Buddha. That's what they told the king. Yeah, so someone exceptional like that. Okay, not bad for 7 years of practicing loving kindness. Yeah, if you can't do 7 years, maybe try 7 months. 7 months is a bit too incomprehensible. You can't imagine you doing 7 months. Try maybe 7 weeks. If not 7 days, I'm sure for 7 days you can try to cultivate thoughts of loving kindness. If not, maybe start with 7 minutes. If you can't do 7 hours, try with 7 minutes, and then double that 7 minutes to 14 minutes and see what happens. Yeah. Okay. Let me see. It's 9. Okay, and I have to leave on time today to make sure I get down in time for the meal offering. Today we are celebrating Kuan Yin's Enlightenment Day in the Buddha Hall downstairs. So that gives us an opportunity. Let me see how many more slides we have. We have a lot more slides, but let me see the next topic. Anyone have any questions? Because the next slide that I have is called the Sakapanha Sutta. This is a very famous sutra that's attributed to Lord Shakra because he asked the Buddha several questions. So since the theme is on questions, does anyone have any questions? Okay, we don't have time to go through this particular sutra right now because there's a lot to unpack. But what I'll do is let me skip forward to this. Okay, there's a sutra called the Chetwa Sutta, or known as the Killing Sutta. This sutra is also attributed to Lord Shakra. So at Savatthi in the Jeta Grove, Shakra, Lord of the Devas, approached the Buddha, paid homage to him, stood to one side and addressed the Buddha in verse. So he asked the Buddha, he said, having killed what does one sleep soundly? Having killed what does one not sorrow? What is the one Dharma whose killing you approve? So the Buddha preaches no killing, no harming, okay, ahimsa, no harming, non-harming of living beings. But Lord Shaka asks, what is the one thing that you approve of that we can kill? Okay, that lets someone sleep soundly without sorrow or regrets. Okay, Buddha says, having killed anger, one sleeps soundly. Having killed anger, one does not sorrow. The killing of anger or Vasava. Vasava is another name for Indra. There's a sutra that describes the various names of Chakra. He has, I think, in that sutra, I think 7 names are described. So Vasava is one of them. The Buddha continues, says, with his poison root and honey tip, this is the killing the noble ones praise. For having killed that, one does not sorrow. Okay, so anyone who is looking for a way to sleep soundly, if you have problems having a good sleep, maybe this sutra might be helpful. Okay, so coming to Ron's question. Ron, can you ask your question again? about Guanyin?
Okay, okay, let's see if I can remember it. Oh, okay, I said that what I was thinking was that because this is um, on the eve of Guan Yin session, Guan Yin before he became a bodhisattva, he was a Buddha, and I read that his name when he was a Buddha was Light of Proper Dharma Buddha. So my question was, you know, when he became a bodhisattva from a Buddha, what happened to the Buddha? You know, is the Buddha still operating like in a transformation body, or is Guan Ying Bodhisattva a transformation Bodhisattva of the Buddha?
Okay, thanks for your question, Ron. So while you were asking your question, I was trying to look for that particular sutra that I remember reading. What I was there is a particular sutra that speaks of the different lifespans of the different Buddhas. And I'm not sure if I have it in my collection right now. It could be one of the chapters of the Avatamsaka Sutra or the Flower Adornment Sutra. If anyone knows, you can tell me. But the reason why I thought of that sutra is not to directly answer Ron's question because I have no idea, Ron. I don't have a direct answer for you, but uh, uh, when it comes to lifespans of the Buddhas, this is what I have. And let me see. Does anyone know? Okay. Since I can't, okay, just give me one more minute. Let me see if I can. Okay, probably not. Yeah, I don't think I can find it right now so quickly. But I do have something. Let me see. Okay, for example, there is a sutra, the Mahaprajna Paramita Sutra, or Shastra, sorry, the commentary on the Mahaprajna Paramita, Paramita Sutra says that Buddha Vipassin, these are the seven, it lists down the seven past Buddhas before Shakyamuni Buddha. Buddha Vipassin's lifespan was 84,000 years. Kraku Chanda's lifespan was 60,000 years. Kanaka Muni's lifespan was 30,000 years. Kashyapa Buddha's lifespan was 20,000 years, but the lifespan of Shakyamuni Buddha was less than 100 years. And then the lifespan of Maitreya Buddha, the future Maitreya Bodhisattva, when he becomes the Buddha in the future, will be 84,000 years. Okay. And then it talks about, let me see if the Shastra gives a reason. Okay, basically it says that Buddhas also have different causes and conditions that attribute to the different lifetimes. Okay, so I think Ron's question is slightly different. This, what I just shared with the number of years is the amount of time the Buddha spends after he becomes the Buddha. So for Shakyamuni Buddha, it was, let me see, I think it was about 100 years after he became the Buddha that he spent with us on earth, for lack of a better word, on earth. Whereas other Buddhas would spend up to maybe like 84,000 years with the inhabitants of Jambudvipa. I think Ron's question could be what happens after that. Is that true, Ron?
Uh,
Or actually, it's very hard to say, Ron, because when Guanyin Bodhisattva decided to come back as Guanyin Bodhisattva, it could be directly after his lifespan as a Buddha, his physical lifespan as a Buddha had ended, you know. It doesn't really say. Or the Buddha could still be around, and Guanyin is just a transformation body of what was the name of the Buddha again that Guanyin was?
Light of proper Dharma. I'll write it down.
Light of proper Dharma. So light of proper Dharma Buddha could still be around, and he's just manifesting Guanyin as one of his transformation bodies. Yeah, the ability of the powers and ability of a Buddha is really beyond the comprehension of people like us. If we think that it's hard to imagine what a kalpa is, every 100 years you go rub a huge mountain. Think of Everest, whole of Everest from the base to the tip, made of solid steel. Every 100 years you go and just lightly flick a silk handkerchief against one part, and the amount of time it takes you to wear down the whole mountain down to nothing, that's one great kalpa. That's beyond human imagination. So the ability of Buddhas to do things and to save living beings is totally beyond our comprehension. So whether what happens to light of proper Dharma Buddha when we have Guanyin right now, who is going around saving living beings, don't know. Maybe even if we knew the answer, we wouldn't be able to, understand the answer. Yeah, but that's a good question, Ron. Yeah. So sorry, I don't have a answer for you. Anyone else? No. Okay. Perhaps then we can dedicate merit, and so I can get downstairs. Okay, let me find the dedication. Okay. Gonna invite everyone to join me putting our palms together. May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in giving unity, may our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of our endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. Okay, let's do 3 bows to the Buddha. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. Half bow. Bowing respect to the Rebel Master. Second bow. Third bow. Half bow. All right, everyone. Ron, if you want to know more, you can read about why lifespans of the Buddhas are different, or rather why Shakyamuni Buddha only had 100-year lifespan. You can read the Lotus Sutra, where the Buddha explains why he, why he manifested the act of entering nirvana. In the Lotus Sutra, the Buddha says, although people think that I am no longer here, I have not gone anywhere, the Buddha is still around, and he put on a show of entering nirvana as an expedient so that human beings in this age will be spurred on to cultivate. Because if the Buddha had, there are other reasons as well, But if one of the Buddha's reason was that if he had stayed on, and people will start taking him for granted, and then we don't cultivate, but we depend on the Buddha instead, something like that. Yeah, so you can go read up the don't take my word for it, but go read up the Lotus Sutra. What chapter? You find out, and then you tell me which chapter of the Lotus Sutra. Don't be so lazy. It's the Lotus Sutra. You should read the whole thing. Okay, Amitabha, everyone. We'll see you next week. Okay, bye bye.